back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Roti. I am joined alongside my co-host, London Beth, and today we are hitting on the Chicago Bears official schedule for the upcoming season. Just a disclaimer, the Bears play in 7 nationally televised games this season, so nearly half their games, 5 in an 8-week span. So obviously networks are very hyped about the Bears. Very exciting time. I think the Bears are definitely underdogs this upcoming season again. According to experts, a lot of people are saying that they're going to go 9-8. A lot of people say they might get lucky and go 10-7, but London and I have different opinions. I'm very optimistic. London has not given me his official record yet, so we're going to go game by game, evaluation by evaluation, and we will kick off with week 1. The Chicago Bears head to LA to take on the LA Rams on Sunday Night Football, a redemption game against the last season where that's where the Bears season really started to spiral out of control. That was without Justin Fields. That was with a banged up offensive line and a defensive unit ran by a guy named of Chuck Pagano who did not have the Vic Fangio background. So, London, who's winning week 1, Bears Rams?
I'm going to go Bears. And the reason why I'm going to go Bears is because I think, the NFL is loving this whole LA Rams against the Chicago Bears. I think in 2018, we beat them up pretty bad in that game to continue on into the playoffs and lose to the Eagles. Don't even want to bring it up again, but it happened. And those are just really good games, very defensive games. They were pretty scrappy, all that kind of stuff. Though for some odd reason, they always for the past, I think 3 years, we played the Rams, and they constantly just love to put us up against them. So I'm saying we're taking the win, and the only reason why I think so is because Matthew Stafford is new there. They have a lot of new pieces on that offense, and I just think it's good. I think the Rams are going to be a good team this year. I think it's going to take them a few weeks, though, just to get that kind of gel.
Yeah. So I think that it is going to be a good game. I totally agree with you that the Rams, this is a new quarterback coming into Sean McVay's system, and then the team itself, very stacked defensively. I mean, you can't deny it when you got a guy named Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball. But I'm going to go in the opposite direction of this. As much as I love the Chicago Bears, I think that they're in the same position in regards to, new quarterback, different offensive line, a little bit different defensive scheme. Also, their leader in Kyle Fuller is no longer on the team. So I have the Bears losing this game, but not by much. I have the Bears starting off 0-1, losing to the LA Rams 24-20. LA Rams in LA. But that doesn't speak to the rest of the season because it's game 1. I think that the Bears are definitely going to use this as a momentum builder. But who knows? I hope London's right. But I think that, game 1, kind of same situation with the Bears. Now, completely different story the following week. As the Bears head back home to Soldier Field, as of right now, who knows? This could be the last year they're at Soldier Field. But as of right now, heading home, Bengals, Bears in Chicago, London, Andy Dalton redemption game. Who are you taking?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bears here. I know you pretty much have them winning by over a touchdown or so. I kind of agree with that. I think they'll, I think the Bengals are up and coming. The problem that the Bengals are going to have, the same one that the Minnesota Vikings and the Lions and everybody else that we play, is just they don't have a good offensive line. The Bears defense is going to eat their offensive line. Khalil Mack, is going to have a great game. And even though they went out and got Jamar Chase, which is a great pickup, I think they should have spent that pick on an offensive lineman. Future-wise, you never know. Maybe they'll get some good play out of the guys they're going to take in the free agency. But I'm taking the Bears to start off 2-0 here. Andy Dalton gets his redemption game, and everything is looking up.
I think that I totally agree with you that the defense is going to, really mess with Cincinnati with their weak offensive line. They are a young team. They're still in rebuilding mode. I don't think that they're at that level yet. They are definitely on the right path. They're doing the rebuild correctly. Start with the quarterback, build around him. That's what they did with Joe Burrow. But I got the Bears winning this game 24-13. Andy Dalton is obviously going to want to ball out against his ex team that kind of put him in a bad position at most points in his career, whether that been give him a great defense, give him a bad offensive line, or, bad defense, give him an offensive line, just didn't work out. So I got Andy Dalton ripping it up against the Bengals, but that doesn't mean that he's going to keep his starting job all season. Defense is going to shake up the Bengals. I got the Bears at 1-1 after week 2. With that, Bears head to Ohio to play the Browns. So not too far from Cincinnati. They'll be in Cleveland, Ohio, taking on the Cleveland Browns. And just gonna, straight as an arrow here, Bears are winning this game 27-20. I know that a lot of people are like, the Browns are good. They're a much better team than the Chicago Bears overall. But I feel like this Bengals game is going to put the Bears in a groove. Young offensive line, defense is going to get used to the scheme at this point. One of the best defensive units in all of football. I think, Cairo Santos and the special teams, there's nothing to worry about there. But this is going to be a big game for the Bears in order to kind of prove themselves, to, put themselves on the map. I got the Bears winning 27-20. Andy Dalton is still starting quarterback in week 3.
I agree with you. I'd love to say that we're going to win this game against the Browns. I think my only biggest issue here with the Browns is they're going to have a pretty tough schedule in the beginning of the year. And I think the Bears are actually the easiest game that they possibly have in regards to like win-loss percentages from last year. Cleveland's hard to beat at home. They have a great offensive line. They brought around a lot more pieces. I'm going to say we're going to lose this game. I think it's going to be closer than everybody's going to expect. The biggest problem and the biggest thing that I see here being an issue is there's just going to be too many weapons on this offense. And our defense is still going to try to have to get into that groove. They're not going to be getting to Baker Mayfield as much as they would have gotten the past week against Joe Burrow. So I'm going to say we're going to lose this game. I know you have it like 27-20. I think that's a touchdown is somewhere around there.
Yeah. And kind of going off the Baker Mayfield comment is that, besides obviously he hasn't been in the league too long, but last year it took him a while to warm up. And then he finally got on track, had a decent season. I don't know, maybe week 3, Baker Mayfield starts to heat up. But again, against the Bears defense, especially if it's looking like Vic Fangio's again, it's going to be a different ball game for him compared to last year. Last year, I would have said the Bears would have lost this game for sure under Chuck Pagano's defense. But, an improved offensive line, Jenkins is probably going to go up against Myles Garrett, which could be a very good matchup. But we will see. So right after week 3, London and I both have the Bears sitting at 2-1. Entering week 4, though, we are finally getting to some NFC North competition against the Lions, which I think is a good start. Good start for Andy Dalton. Good start for, NFC North competition. Matt Nagy just knows how to pick apart the Lions. There's no doubt about that. I believe the only game he lost was this year when the Bears collapsed at the end. So that's his only loss against Detroit. But I got the Bears crushing the Lions 31-17. I think Andy Dalton is going to have a big game. I think the defense is going to just absolutely make Jared Goff's life hell. I mean, he does not have the offensive line that he had out in LA. I got the Bears at 3-1 after week 4.
Nick, I totally agree with you. I mean, they did have a new regime change. They have a new head coach. Just everything kind of changed there in Detroit. My only issue with this, and I'm going to say that the Bears are going to win this, okay? But my only issue is last year, the Lions played us really tough. I mean, they played us really tough to the point where we almost lost that game if DeAndre Swift didn't drop that game-winning touchdown. And then I think the next time we played the Lions, we only beat them by like 3 to 7 points or something like that. I'm really nervous. I mean, I do agree with you. We will win this game just because we are the better team. But this would be a really big statement game for that new Lions regime to beat, a Chicago Bears team that they see to be better than them. So I'm going to say it's actually going to be a closer game. I'm going to go 28-24 Bears win.
I mean, again, it's NFC North competition. It's division competition. Everyone's going to play as hard as they can, So I could be totally wrong. It's just that the Bears are much better. And I know a lot of people are like, the Bears are not much better than last year. We do not have Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. We have an established offensive line. We have 2 wide receivers that we can count on now that defenses have to plan around. We have 2 tight ends as of right now in Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet that they have to plan around. This offense is better. We have a better running back room as well. So for anyone that says that this offense is not better, and Andy Dalton's a better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky. No matter how you look at it, people go, oh, he's another Nick Foles. No, he is not. Nick Foles cannot play in the regular season. Andy Dalton can. I'm more worried about Justin Fields entering the postseason as our starting quarterback. So I still have Andy Dalton in during week 4. Bears 3-1, London saying they're 3-1. This is where things get interesting. Week 5 in Las Vegas, prime time football. Khalil Mack against John Gruden. It's going to be, and Derek Carr is still at quarterback. This is going to be a very good game. This is going to be one that, like, either the Bears are going to be put on the map or they're going to be the laughing stock of that week. This is a very, very big game. So, London, break it down. What are you thinking? Raiders, Bears.
I'm taking a loss here. And the reason why I'm taking a loss is because everybody keeps hyping up this Khalil Mack is going to be, it's his revenge game. It was 5 years ago. Khalil Mack doesn't care about the Raiders at all. And the biggest problem that I see here is we're continuing this entire season to go back and forth, home away, home away, home away, home away. The thing is, we're kind of in the first 4 games staying in somewhat of the Midwest, Cincinnati, Ohio, the Detroit area, then Chicago, all that kind of stuff like that. So we're staying in the Midwest. This is going to be our first game. We're going to be traveling a while down to Vegas. They're going to have a new stadium. They got the clubs behind the touchdown. I mean, it's going to be nuts. And the biggest thing is John Gruden, just for some odd reason during these Monday night games and these primetime games, just loves to just score a ton of points and just show out. I mean, I think the Raiders are a below 500 team, but for some reason, these are the weird games that they end up winning. I think Darren Waller is going to be a problem against our defense this year, even if Roquan is just single out covering him. I think he's going to be a problem. So I'm going to take us losing this game in Vegas.
Well, you can't deny that John Gruden is a primetime guy. When attention's off him, he doesn't play well. When attention's on him, he does play well. I got the Bears winning 24-20. And just a disclaimer, we do start in LA this year, and London has a very fair point. That I know everyone's going to go, but we start in LA. We play 3 games in a row within 1,000 miles of each other. So I think that it's a very, very fair point of the fact that this is a different climate, different air. I know you're in a stadium. You have ACs pumping millions of dollars worth of electricity, gas, all that stuff every single season. But London's got a fair point. I'm going against them, though. I got the Bears winning this game. I feel like it's going to be a very close game, considering when the Raiders were a better team than us in London back in 2019. The Raiders had all the hype. They had all the excitement. They looked like they won the Khalil Mack trade at the time because, Josh Jacobs is showing up. The other draft picks are showing up. And the Bears still barely lost that game. I think that this defense going back and that was the first season without Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator. Now that we're going back to that scheme, and I know that's been a big point of mine, but this defense loves playing that way. And they did not like playing under Chuck Pagano. They're going to go after Derek Carr. They're going to go after Josh Jacobs. They're going to go after everyone they can. And sure, they have weapons at their wide receiver position, but is their defense going to be able to stop David Montgomery? Is their defense going to be able to stop Darnell Mooney deep downfield on a deep ball? Could this be the game Justin Fields potentially comes in if Andy Dalton struggles? I'm saying no to that. I still have Andy Dalton playing against the Raiders in prime time, but I got the Bears at 4-1 after this game, winning 24-20. It's going to be a close game. Very excited. And Tony, London, and I have all spoken already about potentially going out to Vegas as an excuse to go to the game. But we will see, and we will not be in the club section because that's not football. But with that, moving on to week 6, probably the most exciting game in the first half of the most exciting game in the first half of the season for the Chicago Bears. Packers at Soldier Field without Rodgers potentially. With Blake Bortles was signed earlier this week, veteran quarterback coming in, like everyone's like, oh, it's just a backup thing. Like they can't have just Jordan Love in there. What if Rodgers gets hurt? Rodgers still wants out of Green Bay. There's no doubt about that. The Broncos have been linked to him. I believe that the Niners have also been linked to him now. But without Rodgers, the Bears are winning this game. There's no doubt about it because the Packers are just going to have no idea what to do. With Rodgers, I still think the Bears are going to win this game. The Bears, again, a lot more hype from the fan base walking into the season. Fans will be back at Soldier Field this upcoming season. Very hard place to play. And people, especially Bears fans, are going to be hungry to be there, especially after a season away from the stadium. So there's bad chemistry over in Green Bay. I got the Bears 5-1 after this. No score prediction because you just can't predict the Bears-Packers game. But London, what are you thinking?
Oh man, see, these Packer games are tough. I mean, I get so excited for Packer games, especially at Soldier Field or at Lambeau, just because they're always great games. I mean, last year we kind of got blown out a lot. I don't think we were a great team defensively, and that's the reason why. But my biggest thing is this: we don't know what's going to happen with the QB room, the most important position in the NFL in Green Bay. We don't know. We don't know if Rodgers is going to be there, if he's not there, if he's going to hold out for a little while, if he's going to be there by week 6. We don't know. So I have to put a disclaimer next to these Packer games. Without Rodgers, we beat the Packers handily. I'm not afraid of Blake Bortles. Clearly, Jordan Love is not ready. We beat them handily in Soldier Field. With Aaron Rodgers, they beat us handily.
So London could either be 4-2 or 3-3 after week 6. So I'm going to say that the Bears win this game no matter what, with or without Rodgers. So I'm sitting at 5-1. Sounds very familiar compared to last season, because that is exactly how the Bears started. And then we kind of jump into the mid-season toughness, the woes, just how the Bears work. Week 7, Bears head down to Tampa Bay for America's Game of the Week against Tom Brady. London, I know this is probably one of your favorite games on the schedule. What are you thinking? Do the Bears take down Tom again 2 seasons in a row, or are we losing this one?
So there's probably going to be a lot of hype, and we're probably going to see that picture of from The Revenant of Khalil Mack looking over and Tom Brady being like, "Oh, it's Khalil Mack again." Yeah. And the biggest thing is I would love to see that, you know what I mean? And I think the reason why we won that game last year is because Tampa just, again, they didn't have that cohesiveness. Yes, they didn't have, that ability to just be together. You know what I mean? They had a young offensive line, so on and so forth. I'm going to take us losing this game. I think they have all that. They brought all their pieces back. Their linemen, Wirf, who just absolutely got flipped by Khalil Mack. I don't think that's going to happen again. They're going to scheme better, all that kind of stuff. So I'm taking a tough loss here to the Bucs and Brady Town.
You know what? I can't agree more with that. I think that, defending Super Bowl champions, very rare that almost the entire team, especially the key pieces, come back. This team is gelling super well together. Shout out to Jake Campbell, one of my fraternity brothers down at Illinois State, is one of the trainers for the Bucs. Partied with Tom Brady during the Super Bowl parade, looked pretty awesome. Very jealous of you for that, but I know he's from Chicago. I'm not going to say what fan he is because I can't, but I got him. I got the Bucs taking down the Bears. Bears are 5-2. London saying they're going to be 4-3 or 3-4. So still decent records, unless it's London's second record. Entering week 7, not bad. Week 8, a little bit of a different ball game. Bears take on the 49ers, who as an organization are kind of a mess at the moment. I mean, a lot of injuries last year. Don't know what they're doing in their quarterback room. Took Trey Lance over Justin Fields. Did what made big mistakes again, like they did with the Bears back in 2017, and took a guy that was kind of on the questionable side. So, and here's the big one. This is Justin Fields' starting game. This is what the NFL wants. 2 guys drafted in the first round going at it. Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback for the Niners at this point, and Justin Fields is going to get thrown out there because Andy Dalton is going to struggle against the Bucs. And Matt Nagy is going to get trigger happy and be like, bring in the kid. I like this. And I got Justin Fields not ripping up the Niners, but I got him throwing 2 touchdowns and interception and about 250 yards. Bears win this one 24-17. 6-2. I got the Bears at 6-2 at week 8. Not bad. And Justin Fields is obviously in. London, is this the game for you that Justin Fields comes in? Or are you letting him season marinate a little bit more?
I agree with you. I mean, I love that you have him at 6-2. You're such an optimistic sports fan, or Bears fan, and I love that. Listen, the Justin Fields, Trey Lance thing, I think that would be awesome. I think that'd be great for the NFL. I think that's something that the NFL would want. Will this be the time that he comes back, though? I don't think so. I think we're still maybe 1 to 2 to 3 weeks away from where I would want Justin Fields. And we still have a winning record, preferably if Aaron Rodgers isn't around. And so I think if we keep that winning record, Justin Fields isn't going to see the field. So, but we're going to go, and actually, I agree with you. I think we're actually going to beat the 49ers. I think we match up very well. I think they're a very, very run-centric team. And honestly, because of that, I think we win. I don't think we're worried about them passing over the top of us. And we're absolutely fantastic against the run. I think we match up really well with the 49ers. And I'm saying we win and hold the 49ers off here and continue on keeping that winning record. Andy Dalton's still going to be out there.
You know, if I have my co-host laughing at me about my prediction, I can already imagine what the comments are going to look like at this point. But I don't care, because if the Bears go to 6-2 after week 8, I'm going to come back to this clip, steal it, put it in a video, and laugh at everybody. But you know what? That's fine, because I know that there's probably 3 other people in the world that will agree with me on this, and it's all the McCaskies at this point. But week 9, this is where my optimism comes back. This is when I come back to earth. Bears Steelers in prime time again. Another primetime game for the Chicago Bears. And the Steelers are just too good this year. They have a very, very strong defense, experienced quarterback, weapons, wide receivers that they weren't expecting to have this year, good run game. I got the Steelers just smacking the Bears around 28-17. Big Ben is going to defeat them one more time in his last season in the NFL. Justin Fields is going to struggle against a very strong Pittsburgh defense. Bears 6-3 after week 9, entering the bye week. London, what are you thinking?
I'm going against you again. I don't think the Steelers are going to be very good this year. I think Big Ben's going to get hurt early. They're going to have to resort to a younger QB. And I just don't think they have that. They have a rookie running back that's going to be starting, so I don't think we're going to fear the run as much. And I think we're going to sit back and we're going to say, hey, throw it on us. Let's see if Juju Smith-Schuster can dance his way to the end zone. I don't think that's going to be a possibility. And again, I think we're just sitting around and going to kind of win these really, really tight games in prime time to keep Justin Fields off the field. So I'm actually going to say, just because I honestly think the Steelers are going to be probably last in that division, I think we're going to win this one.
That's a take. That's a take that the Steelers are going to be last in that division. I think that the Steelers are still very strong. I mean, their defense is, I'm a big fan of defenses. The Steelers, you can't deny that they have one of the better units in the NFL. But London, you and I are technically sitting at the same record if the Bears beat the Packers that week. So I don't want to hear no optimistic stuff anymore, all right? Like 6-3, enter it. I'm just going to use London's better record moving forward. I'm saying for him that the Bears are beating the Packers in week 6. We're both 6-3 entering week 9 and entering the bye week. And obviously, there's no record there, but I think this is going to be a time where the Bears start making adjustments. I know London said, a few weeks back, potentially in a few weeks, this is where the Bears are going to make some decisions. This is a perfect time, if London's correct, for the Bears to start, getting Fields practice reps, letting them kind of relax, seeing where the season's going. Is it time to tank? Is it time to, jump ship? Or do we keep pushing for the playoffs? If London and I are correct, they're definitely pushing for the playoffs at this point. But week 11, Bears head out to Baltimore. First time in, I believe, 5 years they've been out there. Much different ball club, but they have a guy named Lamar Jackson on that side of the ball. So London, what are you thinking here?
I think Lamar Jackson's going to have an MVP year. I think he kind of had a tough year last year. A lot of people talked down on him after his MVP year, the first year. I think he's going to go off. I think he's going to be too much to handle. I think Andy Dalton is still going to be our quarterback at this point. And it's just, Andy Dalton against Lamar Jackson. I'm taking Lamar Jackson 99.9% of the time. And I think this is going to be a really tough loss. Like I'm saying, borderline 10 to 14 point loss.
Wow. All right. Well, London's got him sitting at 6-4 after this week, and I got to agree with him. Lamar Jackson's going to be a problem this year. I mean, a lot of people criticized him for his play last season, and I agree. I think he's going to go. I think he's been working this season. This Ravens team, you can't ever sleep on the Ravens, even when they're not in power ranking, like as high as, where the Bucs or the Patriots for the last 20 years would be. But Lamar Jackson is going to be a problem. I got the Bears losing this one 28-11, only because our defense is going to keep us in the game. But Andy Dalton I got Justin Fields playing. But if Andy Dalton's in, he's not going to get the job done against these Ravens. So 6-4, entering week 12, 10 games under our belt. But this one's a more exciting game. Short rest period because the Bears play the Ravens on a Sunday. And then 5 days, technically 4.5 days later, they're heading to Detroit to play the Lions on Thanksgiving. Obviously, a very popular game in the NFL, especially this year after last year's Thanksgiving of COVID. So Detroit still sucks. I don't care. Detroit just sucks. There's nothing good about Detroit. They're the other Cleveland that no one says they're going to Detroit for vacation. Like that's just what it is. Okay. So I got Detroit losing this game. And this is when I have Justin Fields putting the league on notice. I got him winning the turkey reward or whatever it is. Even though he's vegan, I got him winning that game MVP. Bears are going to crush the Lions in Detroit 31-10.
Yeah, I got us absolutely crushing the Lions over Thanksgiving. I think we play actually really well on Thanksgiving the past couple of years. We've been getting those Thanksgiving games. Roquan had a great run, I think 2 years ago against the Cowboys, and I think we win this game. I think Detroit's probably going to be the worst team in the NFL. Unfortunate to them, I guess. But I don't think Justin Fields starts here. But I think we're up by so many points in the second half. I think this is the time when end of the third, fourth quarter, he gets in, gets some reps on live game. We're going to be starting to put in our backups because I think we're going to be winning this game. So I think he sees the field, but I don't think it's time yet.
Man, London, you are just letting the bun cook in the oven right now with this guy. Like, London is like, stay off the field. Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes 2.0, like, just keep it real. And, if the Bears do that, fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If the Bears are 7-4 under Andy Dalton entering week 13, I don't think anyone's complaining. I think Andy Dalton will actually gain respect of a lot of Bears fans. But if the Bears start, 0-3 or some crazy bad record, Fields is getting thrown out there week 4, week 5. But this is my favorite game of the year in week 13. I am so excited for when the Cardinals come to Chicago. And here's the thing. I have the Bears losing this game. I think Kyler Murray, having a little bit more experience under his belt than Justin Fields, because I have Justin Fields playing in this game, I think he's going to have the edge. But I think that this is going to be, Arizona does not have a bad defense by any means. Obviously, you have Kyler Murray, Deshaun Hopkins on the offensive side of the ball. Pretty decent Arizona offensive line. I think that this is going to be, and it's cold in Chicago at this point. Kyler Murray, even though, you play in Arizona in that dome, he's going to struggle. Fields is going to struggle. It's going to be a defensive game. I got the Bears falling to 7-5 though, losing to the Cardinals 20-17. You're on mute.
The biggest thing with the Cardinals that kind of gets me is how their offensive line is going to play. Kyler Murray he's a dynamic player. He's someone that can run around. But if he's running around too much, like Lamar Jackson had to do last year, I'm a little nervous. I think we lose this game just based on, I think the Cardinals have just better weapons or a better team than us, just overall. And I think they're kind of selling out for a playoff run here by going out and spending a bunch of money on players like, JJ Watt and all those kind of guys like that. I think it's going to be a closer game than people are going to think. I do think not Deshaun, but DeAndre Hopkins, to correct you. I do think that he'll have a big game here. The running game for the Cardinals doesn't really worry me. I think they're going to try to throw it all over us. And so, unfortunately, I'm going to take, again, another L. Arizona Cardinals and JJ Watt is going to be in Chicago and his family's going to be here, and I'm just going to be pissed about it.
He's going to eat half of all the Portillo's meat at this time in the city. He's going to eat every deep dish Lou's he can get his hands on. He's going to be so bulked up for the game. He'll take up half the field. But yeah, the Cardinals are a good team. And please excuse my apologies for saying the wrong name. I got the last name right, I think, so everyone kind of caught my drift where I was getting at. Nothing's as bad as when I called Russell Wilson Russell Westbrook and said it like 3 times in a video a couple months ago. So I will never live that down. I still get chopped up for it every now and then. But, 7-4 entering week 14 at Lambeau in prime time. You know what? During this podcast, I have realized that I am Mike Ditka's, long lost grandson at some point. I love you, Pa, but I am somehow related to Mike Ditka. I will never say the Packers defeat the Bears. Bears are winning with or without Rodgers in Lambeau, 8-5 after week 14. Nothing else to it.
Nick, I agree with you. I mean, I honestly don't think Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Again, if they have him, it's a different story. But I think this year they don't sweep us. And I think the second game in Lambeau, I think I just think Chicago, we got embarrassed on national television last year in Lambeau. And I think this is the revenge game. A lot of people are like, oh, the Raiders game is the revenge game. No. I think after us getting absolutely embarrassed by like 40 points or something last year, this is the revenge game. I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care who they put out there. I don't care who the quarterback is for the Green Bay Packers. We are winning this game in Lambeau so that we can finally be like, we can just stick it to them there because they stuck it to us last year.
Yeah, I agree. And, as a Bears fan, as time has kind of gone on, and I used to be a big Mitch Trubisky fan, like he's trying, good guy, like in a bad situation. The more I think about it, Mitch Trubisky was straight up a hype man. Like that was it. Like in the huddle, he looked good, on the field, like high-fiving guys was a big problem. Like having a quarterback now, obviously not starting right away, but in Justin Fields, I just feel more confident about this Bears team against any team, including the Green Bay Packers, with or without Rodgers. And again, like you said, I don't even think Rodgers will be in Green Bay within 2,000 miles of Green Bay for this game. So
just to confirm, Nick, you have Justin Fields starting, correct? He's been starting since the 49ers game. Okay.
I've had him
I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
I think that he is still, of course, I mean, against the Niners, I said Fields is going to be starting. But we're just putting it all out there. The Bears have just a better team. I don't care what people say, better coaching now than last year in regards to the defensive side of the ball. A lot of people don't like Matt Nagy. I don't like Matt Nagy, but London raises a good point. He's a good leader, just has to put his ego aside and let his offensive coaches do their job, or else they're just making $500K to sit up in the warm box at Lambeau Field while Nagy is telling you to be you. But with that, moving into week 15, the Bears are 8-5 at this point. The Bears primetime Monday Night Football against Kirk Cousins. Nothing else to say because we have a better offense than we did last year. And the Bears only lost by 6 points to the Vikings at Soldier Field in primetime. Bears win 24-13. Kirk got lucky, 9-5 after this game.
Man, I'm going to go the opposite way. I think that Kirk Cousins broke his curse of these primetime games. And I honestly think this year, even though my buddies who are huge Minnesota Vikings fans and will absolutely be like, oh, you're a Vikings fan now, blah, blah, blah. Because I always just take shots at Kirk Cousins all the time. They have a lot of returning players on defense, which they were missing last year. I could rattle them. I actually rattled most of them off. That's how much these Vikings fans are close to me. Offensively, they're going to have Dalvin Cook. They're going to have, Justin Jefferson, JJ the Jet Master. They're still going to have Adam Thielen. I think the Vikings are going to have a really big rebound year. And without Aaron Rodgers in the North, I think they have better weapons than the Chicago Bears do. So unfortunately, I'm taking a loss here in primetime. I think Kirk Cousins broke the curse. I think it's going to be a close game. They're always really close, boring defensive games. And I think it's going to be, like a 17-14 loss.
Well, 9-5 leaving Soldier Field, going to Seattle for me. 8-6 for London, heading to Seattle. Seattle, I think it's America's game of the week again. I mean, again, the NFL knows something. See, all these networks know something about the Bears, and that's where I'm excited because maybe they're listening in and we don't even know it. Thank you for 250 subscribers, by the way. Very excited about it. Appreciate you all watching. And I think that the NFL has to be one of them at this point because they are just as excited about the Bears as we are. But the Bears go to Seattle for America's Game of the Week. Russell Wilson will still wish he was a Chicago Bear because the defense is going to go off against that weakened Seattle offensive line. The Bear and Justin Fields is going to go mano-a-mano against Russell Wilson and show that he's the either next Patrick Mahomes or his comparison of Russell Wilson. I got the Bears winning in Seattle, 10-5. I'm optimistic. I think the Bears are going to be really good this year.
So here it is, Nick. This is the moment that every viewer, every person, all of our subs, our likes, people that leave all the great comments in our videos and everything, and also yourself and probably Tony, at his job right now. This is the game Justin Fields is going to start. Right here, this is the game. I think it's going to be a very hyped up game because, we tried to get Russell Wilson and, all that kind of different stuff. And again, just like the Rams, for some odd reason, we played the Seattle Seahawks every single year. We've had their number. They have, I think any team that we play that has not a top 5 to top 10 offensive line, we are going to handily beat. This is another perfect example. I think, just because we only have 2 more games left, one against the Giants, one against the Vikings, which we'll get into, and we need to win. I think we're going to have to win these to secure a playoff spot. I think Matt Nagy is going to be like, you know what, Andy Dalton, this is this is come to an end. Justin Fields is ready. He's been ready in practice and stuff like that. We just lost to a division rival in the Vikings last week on prime time. I think it's prime time game. Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and I think Russell Wilson balls here. I absolutely think he balls. I think the defense balls, and I think we take this win.
Sheesh. At the take. Field starts. Bears win. London's got him at 9-6, leaving Seattle to come back to Soldier Field. I got him at 10-5. That's a 750 winning record. And at this point, the Bears could clinch the division. They very well could, or at least a playoff spot. But week 17, this is not the final week of the season anymore. So week 17, Giants come to Chicago, freezing cold weather. Gotta love it. Daniel Jones still will not get the job done against this very tough Bears defense. Khalil Mack is going to he's going to be throwing linemen around like he usually does against the Giants. I feel like, honestly, this is going to be a very big defensive game for the Bears. And I got the Bears winning 21-13 only because Justin Fields will be playing and it's going to be colder out and the Bears are going to be making that playoff push. And if they're already ahead, let's say 21-3 entering, the third quarter, they're going to probably throw Andy Dalton back out there. They're going to throw in their second stringers just to make sure that these guys stay healthy. 11-5. I'm optimistic, I know, but that's just what it is. Take it as you please.
I think we win this game. I think the Giants are kind of like the Washington Redskins. I think they're a quarterback away from having a really good team. I think Saquon Barkley's back. They got Kenny Galladay. They had a pretty good draft getting Tooney. Tooney won me $40. Thank you, Gavin Drew, for that. I think we win this game. I think the Giants come here again. They have a weaker offensive line. They didn't really hit on that in the offseason too terribly much. I know they have like Nate Soldier coming back, but I don't think he's like a dynamic, left tackle that's going to blow anybody away or anything. I think this is the game for me that's actually going to be more important than the Seattle Seahawks game. I don't think it's going to be raining or snowing in Seattle around that time. I think this is the game. It's going to start getting really cold in Chicago. It's going to start getting, the ball's going to be tougher. The ground's going to be harder. The Chicago Bears fans are going to be drunker. I think the wind's going to be blowing. And I think this is the kind of game to see. Did Ohio State and Justin Fields, playing in these kind of conditions help him or not? I think we win this game. Again, I think he has a pretty good game here, but this is going to be the game for me. It's going to be crappy weather. It's going to be Chicago Bears football. It's going to be cold. Everybody's going to be drunk. The wind's going to be blowing off the lake. How, as a quarterback, can you handle that? I'm very happy that we got Justin Fields because I think from his experience at Ohio State playing in the Midwest, he knows how to handle it.
Love it. I couldn't agree more in regard to the Giants also being a quarterback away from being that team. Couldn't agree more. But with that, final week, new week, week 18, not playoff week 18, regular season week 18. Bears at Vikings, as they always end their season. I got the Bears winning the NFC North in Minnesota without Aaron Rodgers in the division. Bears win 24-17. They're going to have all their scrap guys out there because they already have a playoff spot clinched, unless they're going for the number 1 seed to get the bye. Bears are walking out 12-5. And I know that I am going to get torched. Like, I don't know what this guy drank this morning, how much bourbon he put in his coffee. Did not put too much in there. Just kidding. Didn't put any. But I think that the Bears are a very underrated team and can shock a lot of people. And later this season, I hope that people absolutely either roast me for being wrong, or they're like, oh, maybe he was a little bit right. So I got the Bears ending the season 12-5, entering the playoffs, maybe as the number 1 seed, but we'll see. We'll see. London, last remarks. Bears, Vikings, week 18.
Yeah, this is a tough game for me. Adding another game, just kind of where we're at. I think I have them at like 10-6. I think that's a playoff spot. And so I think the Vikings are going to be first in the division here. Right at this point, I think they're going to maybe have one more win over us, and including the tiebreaker since they won the first game. I don't think either team this game is going to matter very much because I think they're both going to make it to the playoffs based on that, win or loss. And so honestly, for me, I would like to see Justin Fields sit, not get injured, get ready for the playoffs. At the same time, I hate losing to the Vikings. We're not going to get swept. So honestly, but, ipso facto. So again, I think the Vikings are going to be better this year. I'm going to give them the sweep. We're going to lose this game. We're going to go 10-7, still a playoff berth. But again, I'm not worried because the Vikings will always and have always first round exited the playoffs, because I have us playing in the first round of the playoffs as the wild card against the second or third seed, whoever they get, and then beating them.
We'll check that out. That's it. That's all 18 weeks. And we did that in about 30 or 40 minutes. So thanks for sitting with us for that. But with that, thank you for joining in to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. Predictions. I got the Bears going 12-5, winning the division. London, 10-7, wild card team. London's obviously much more realistic, but I'm being your optimistic Bears fans, and that's what we are. We are optimistic Bears fans for optimistic fans. Thank you for joining in, and congratulations to the graduates at University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. May all your future and whatever it is, London, you definitely got the quote better than me, but best of luck in your future endorses. This is Just Another Year Chicago. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.